You could see my screen. Yes. Okay, so where were we, guys? I think in the last class we were talking about the JSON object, right? So now we are so strong with JSON, we can create any type of complex JSON structure. We can add, we are binding every data in the form of an object, not just only properties. We are binding the methods, we are binding the properties, we are making it as a single object. Now we know how do we invoke the methods of the JSON object within the JSON object using your this operator. Those things we are done, right? I think in the last class, I was working on student details example with this complete JSON object, this keyword and all. And you already did the assignment for employee details also. You did it? Everyone? Anyone submitted in the Git? Can I have a check on that? You submitted it? Can I have a check? Others, assignments.
I feel like I did what I was supposed to do. I put my pride to the side and put my all in you.
Srinu?
I tried way too many
Sriram.
times to get over you. We did the same shit, but I just ain't as strong as you. Yeah, remember?
ECMA, you already started? Okay. Which one? It is not ECMA, right? Very good to see, man. You are solving all the assignments. Very, very nice. All these are from our example only, right? Whatever we are working on. Very good. Appreciate it. 50? This one? Okay, so employee details is an object. You have the read employee data, read total salary. And you can keep this guy, HRAPF also, you can make it an object. You may say this dot HRA. In the same way, PF also. Okay, that will be part of the object. Tax details, tax percentage, this dot so and so, console.log. So from outside, you're calling the read employee data. Just give me a second.
हुई अंदर की चीजें आपको बाहर से दिख जाती है और इसके अंदर है 20,000 mAh की बैटरी जो आपके एक फोन को 4 से 5 बार चार्ज कर देगा। इसके अंदर यूज हुई हर एक चिप, ट्रांजिस्टर, यूएसबी पोर्ट और डिस्प्ले सब कुछ ट्रांसपेरेंट डिजाइन के साथ में आता है जो कि दिखने में बहुत ज्यादा
लगता है। So you're calling this read employee data. That guy is calling total salary. This guy is calling total tax. This guy is calling display details. Very nice, guys. Very good. This is what I'm expecting. So anyone who haven't not done this guy, I think like his folder is having every other examples, whatever I had discussed. So this is very good to see. Okay. And anyone need any reference of this, you can go into this folder. Okay. Okay. So what else, guys? What is our next topic for today? DHTML. So I think I already said the complexity level of the DHTML, right? Actually not complex. I said that like any of the batch where I go, everyone will say that the complex part is DHTML, but actually it is not complex. And one of the advantage what I see is DHTML we are not going to use in our project. Nowadays, it is not through the DHTML, it's all through the templating concepts we have. At the same time, templating APIs also available using which we can do this DHTML concept. Then why the reason are we wasting our time, which is not useful, but it is better to know what internally it is happening. I may use the templating concept in your future. It is like one day of time, but DHTML will take me another 5 classes only for DHTML thing, which we might not be using, but the knowledge what we get from the DHTML, what is happening at the background, how do you make the interaction between the HTML and JavaScript, those things we'll be learning. Okay, it is one of the very important concept, guys. Everybody put some extra attention. At the same time, as I said you, the confusion is going to come for you. Okay, a lot of people, everyone is going to feel the confusion. Wherever you feel the confusion, please let me know and I'm going to clarify those. Okay, so let it get clarified if you have any questions. Okay, so I want everyone to be strong on this DHTML concept. So what is the thing we are doing till now, guys? So what is the thing we are doing till now? Initially, we have created web pages, which is having a look and feel, isn't it? We are only working on how well you can show the data to the user. Agree, everyone? We are only creating like product details page we created. We understood what I mean by form tag. We are concentrating only on the look and feel of the web pages using your HTML and CSS. Later, we have started with our JavaScript. Using your JavaScript, what we were doing, we have concentrated much on processing the data, isn't it? Whatever the information what user is providing, we could able to process the data in a structured way. We know that how do we store the data, what are the different data types JavaScript is using to store the data, and what are the different ways we can process the data. Hell lot of things we have seen like using your JavaScript programming language. Now, what we are missing in your JavaScript is we are processing the data, but we were never showing the data back to the user. Okay, this web page look and feel, we have used our HTML and the CSS part. Okay, HTML and CSS we were using. For this processing, we were using the JavaScript. Now, this is a separate pages we have seen, and this is a separate pages what we have seen in your JavaScript. Now, my requirement is I want to make an interaction between the HTML and JavaScript here. So let me create a very simple page. Okay, so this is your HTML. What happened? Now I say a script tag. I'll say some div. I say script tag var a1 is equal to say some 90. I say var a2 is equal to 99. Okay, I say var sum is equal to a1 plus a2. Okay, console.log, the sum is plus sum. This is what we were doing till now. Okay, when I save this guy, open in this guy, when I inspect this, go for console, I see that the sum is going to be 189. Are we clear? Now, this is what we are missing. We could able to process the data, arithmetic operations or logical operations I could able to do using your JavaScript, but I'm not showing the data on the page. Now we are developers. I know that console tab is the place where I could able to see the data. I'm seeing this here. But what if I don't, I'm an end user. I'm an end user of your web page. Whenever I'm reloading the page, you never see the data on the page. Now, as an end user or the user who is using this web page, I might not be having an idea that I have to open the console and I have to see the data. And none of the web pages will ask you to go to the console and see this data, isn't it? Now, when you go to the Amazon or Gmail or Google, did they ever ask you that open to the console and see the data? No, boss. Everything, whatever the result I have, it should be on the page itself. Okay. Now, what I wanted is I would like to create a div. I say that the sum of two values is, I will create a span tag. I'll put a ID for this guy. I say result block. And here I would like to show the data. Am I clear? That is what my requirement is. Now, when I save this, I don't want to see on the console. I would like to see the data over here itself. Now, can I simply say instead of this sum variable, can I take out and put this guy here? Obviously, sum is the variable which is having the data. Now I paste this, I come back and reload the page. Why it is just SUM is being shown? Why not the value? The problem is, boss, there is, I say that when I say this is a complete web page, under that, this is the piece of HTML code we have written, CSS code we have written, and this is a piece of JavaScript code we have written. Now, this is HTML and CSS, and this is JavaScript. Now, the question, the problem what we have is there is no communication between the HTML and JavaScript. That HTML cannot read the values what you have inside your JavaScript. That you guys agree? Is it is possible to directly read the data? Now, if you would have been read this, I mean, if there is an option that I can read this data, the sum value has to be shown over here itself. I wouldn't have been gone to this guy onto the console. Okay, as the HTML cannot read the JavaScript data, I cannot make use of the JavaScript variable within the web page. Am I clear? So this is the limitation what you have inside your HTML. HTML can never ever communicate with your JavaScript or JavaScript data. Now the solution what I have is I need to depend upon the JavaScript. Your JavaScript language is so powerful that it is having an option to directly communicate with your HTML elements or to communicate with your corresponding CSS properties. Okay, JavaScript is having the flexibility and it is so powerful that not just only your HTML, its corresponding CSS also, it can communicate. So through your JavaScript, I can say that go to the element or element called as go to an element who is having ID as so and so, who is having an ID as so and set the sum value inside the tag. This is what I need to do, boss. It is using the JavaScript. I need to say that, boss, you need to go to so and so element, and after you visit, I mean, what is that so and so element? The guy who is having an ID called as result block. Obviously, this is the one. I need to find out this guy, and you need to set the value of the sum inside this guy. That is what I can do with your JavaScript. So your JavaScript is capable of referring to any of the DOM element within the web page. Everybody know what I mean by DOM element? Every element within the page, we call it as, I mean, the DOM structure we know. Any element who is participating within the DOM, we call it as a DOM element. So I can say that using your JavaScript. Using a JavaScript, I can say that go to that element and do the change. Obviously, using your HTML, I can't say that go to JavaScript, find the element. Now, what I need to do using your HTML, I need to say that go to the JavaScript, find a variable called sum and set the value here in span tag. So this is what actually I should able to do. If I could able to do this guy, I wouldn't have gone to this option. Okay, if I could able to find out from your HTML, if I could able to go to the JavaScript and I could able to find a variable called as sum and I could able to set over here, then I wouldn't have gone to this option here, as this is not at all possible. Okay, this feature is not at all possible. Using your HTML, you can never ever interact with your JavaScript variables and data. Now, when you go to the Angular, I mean, when you go to the Angular, right? I mean, in future, you may go with the frameworks like Angular or React. You know, the advantage what I have is I can simply say this guy like this. There is something called as data binding concept in your Angular or your React applications. There is a concept of data binding. You simply say this guy. You don't need to go for an option called as 12. You don't need to go for an option called as 19. That is how the frameworks provide an option of, I mean, you may say that, okay, once I do this, it will automatically pick the sum variable. Yes. But if I ask you a question, you may ask me a question. You said that HTML can never interact with the JavaScript. Then how come in Angular it is happening? Angular will do the job of you as an user. You simply say two flower braces and some variable. Angular framework will come into the picture. It will go to the JavaScript. It will find the variable and it will set the value. Obviously, it uses the option of line number 19 only. But you as a developer don't need to do anything. You simply say any data what you want. You can simply bind the data using this. But anyway, that's an extra information. You can just skip it out. Once you go to the framework, you'll get an idea. Okay, now as I said, actually what I wanted is the line number 12. I need to go to JavaScript, I need to find the variable and I need to set it. As HTML couldn't able to do, this line number 19, 12 is not at all possible. That is the reason I'm going to the option called as line number 19. What is line number 19? Through JavaScript, I need to go to the element. I need to find out an element who is having this ID, so and so. And for that guy, I need to set my sum value. Okay, so here, am I not dynamically updating the HTML content using your JavaScript? by default, you won't see the sum value. But through JavaScript, I am updating the data within your HTML. This is what we call it as DHTML. That is why it is called as dynamic HTML elements or dynamic HTML concept. Through JavaScript, you're going to read the data. Through JavaScript, you're going to modify the data. Through JavaScript, you're going to update the data. Anything we can do using your JavaScript to the HTML element, that concepts or those set of concepts, we call it as a DHTML concepts. Are we clear? Okay. Now let us see how I'm going to do this guy using your JavaScript. So I say the very first thing what I have is you need to know about two predefined objects. Again, you left out the bike keys. Bike keys only, right? Next time you give it to me. Okay. So I say that there is something called as two predefined objects in your JavaScript. Okay. There are two predefined objects in your JavaScript. Now I say something called as delete. Is it predefined in your JavaScript? DELETE, a keyword. Is it predefined in your JavaScript? Everyone, what is the use of this guy? Delete a key and a value from a JSON object. This is predefined. Can I say var? Is it predefined in your JavaScript? Yes. Can I say let is predefined in your JavaScript? Yes. Can I say break, continue? Lot of predefined keywords what we have. Along with this keyword, there is a predefined object, what we call it as window and document. Okay, these two are predefined objects. I'm not saying them as a keyword. When it is an object, obviously you can imagine how the structure will be. There could be something called a window object like this. Window is equal to a JSON object. It might be having a key, it might be having some value, n number of keys and n number of values, and it might be having a method, something like this, n number of methods it might be having. Can you imagine an object like this? Yes or no? Obviously yes, right? When I say one guy is an object, he might be having n number of key and value pairs, n number of key and methods also we have. We already know that object is not just capable of normal key and values, but it is capable of holding the methods also inside this. Do you have any limitation that I can have only these number of keys or these number of methods? No, any number of methods or any number of key value. Now when I say window object, this is what you should be able to imagine that this type of structure it might be having. Okay. In the same way, document is also one of the object which might be having n number of keys and n number of values. Now, what actually these are? Why do we use this? Let's have a look on this. Now, I say console.log window object. Console.log document object. Okay, I'm logging this window object and the document object. Here you see I'm not declaring them, I'm making use of them because those are predefined by default available in your application. Once I come back and reload the page, once I inspect these guys, go to the console, this is how I can see the window object and the document object. The very first thing what you need to see is the child object called as document. When I expand this document, this is not your HTML tag, or this is what your DOM structure of your web page? Yes or no? From your JavaScript, if at all you have to identify the DOM structure of the current web page, that is what we say something called as document object. Document object refers the DOM structure of the current web page. Now, if I go for the second page, there I say document object that refers to that web page DOM structure. Third page, I am referring to the document object that refers to the current object DOM structure. Are we clear? Okay. On the top, then what is this window object? Window is actually the parent object here. The complete information, whatever the web page you're completely working on, every other information of the current web page will be shown under the window object itself. You see the very first values what I have, A1 and A2. Why this A1 and A2 are also part of this window object? any global data, what you're going to define inside your JavaScript, those all are part of your window object. You know, I can say either I can say sum is equal to A1, or I can say window dot A1. Come on. Window dot A1. This you can do. Now you may say that A1 is a normal variable. Why you are saying object dot A1? Boss, anything what you declare in your web page, that all will be part of the window object. Either you say A1 or you say window dot A1, both are going to be same. Okay. Now if you see here, I say where say some sample equal to say some hello. Is it a global variable or local variable? Global variable. Is it part of window object? Yes, it is. See here, when I'm expanding this window object, I should be able to see where is the, what is that name? Sample I gave, right? So it is alphabetically ordered. Now I say better, instead of searching, I say a sample, then it will come first. Once I reload this web page, when I open this window, you see here, a sample is the one. And whatever the predefined methods you see inside your JavaScript, earlier we are saying that console.log, alert, etc. and all. You know, I can even say, you say alert is one of the methods, say some hello. Okay, this is what you're doing. Or else, you know, I can do something called as window.alert. Both are going to be same. See here, when I'm reloading the page, one alert and the second alert is also coming. So anything, whatever it is coming from the web page, or by default, whatever you get it, it's all from the window object, window.parsent, window.parsefloat, window.type of anything, whatever you're using in your JavaScript, that is all part of window object. All the predefined methods. Someone asked me a question, how do I get to know that what all the predefined methods JavaScript is supporting? If you explore this window object, everything, this is what you're getting support from your JavaScript. All the methods, see here, this is a key, this is a value, this is a key, this is a value, but alert is a key holding a function. This atop is one of the method. Like this, like you have methods, properties, everything is part of your window object only. This will contain the extra information of the current web page along with the default properties what JavaScript is providing. Repeating again, window object is a predefined object which is going to hold the complete extra information of the current web page. What is that extra information? What is the URL of the web page? What is the domain of the web page? What is the current window or current browser information, current operating system information? Those all extra information. What is the dimensions of the web page? What is the position of the cursor? These all data will be part of this window object along with the document object. If you see here, document is also children of window. Under the window, if you see anything which is starting with D, A, B, oh, D is gone, right? I say D, D, G. Here, under the window object, do I have the document object here? When I expand this guy, this is the document object what we have seen earlier? Yes. So parent object is the window. Under that, you have the document object. Okay. So like this, if you see every other information, like what is the cursor, what is the location of current location of the URL, what all the events, these all information will be part of your window object itself. Example, where is the URL? See here, what is the available width we have for the current system? What is the height of it? Those all information, cursor location, every other thing will be part of your window object only. See here, what is the product? This is all navigator object we'll see in your HTML5. See, what is the URL? What is the current location of the application? The URL is fdrive so-and-so, so-and-so. So these all information, why I'm looking into Sriram's? I created there itself. Okay, I'll remove it. So this is how you're going to see the extra information of the current web page under the window object. Window is the parent, document is the child object. Are we clear up to this? Everyone, these two are predefined objects. We are not creating it. We are just making use of it. Okay. Why the router folder have come here? Who added these routes here? Yes. Okay, so this is how we are going to write the piece of code. Now what I want to do is, using your JavaScript, I want to take this some value and I want to add this guy. Now, when I say something, right now I'm not using window object. When I say document object, am I not getting the complete DOM structure? So when I'm opening this guy, the document object, I see the complete DOM structure, isn't it? For example, let us take a practical example, guys. I say I have this remote in my hand. Okay, projector remote in my hand. Now I would like to add this remote within the, say for example, on the top of my keyboard. Okay, I have one of the element, and this element I want to append it on the keyboard. Now, what is the steps I need to follow here? Before accessing or before putting the data or the element on the keyboard, first of all, do I need to have the access of this podium or the table I have? Yes, right. First of all, I need to have an access. Now assume that this is a document object. This podium or the table what I have, assume that this table is the document object, the complete details. It is having monitor, it is having mobile, it is having keys, it is having keyboard, mouse pad or mouse, every information or the cables, everything is part of this table. In the same way, when I go to the document object, which is a DOM structure, under the DOM structure, we have the div elements, we have the title tag, we have the href, every element is part of the document. Now, if at all I have to put this guy remote on the top of the keyboard, first of all, I need to have an access of this table. Under the table, I need to find out where is the keyboard. On the top, append this element. Agree or not? Yes, this is what theoretically I need to do. In the same way, now under this document, what is my first thing? I need to find the element which is having an ID called as result block. From the complete DOM structure, I need to specifically find out the guy who is having the result block. Because when I say DOM element, DOM structure, it might be having thousands of HTML elements, thousands of etc. things you'll be having on the web page. But specifically, I need to go to this guy. So how do I do that, guy? Under the document, there is a predefined method, something called as get element by ID. There is a predefined method called as document.getElement by ID. What is the use of this? The name itself specifies from the existing DOM structure, which is your document, you need to find an element who is having an ID. What is this ID? Called as result block. You can simply do this. Got it, boss? Now, from the existing n number of elements on the page, you are specifically going to the particular element who is having an ID called as result block. As simple as it is. Okay, implies what I'm doing? From the existing complete web page, I could able to find out what is the keyboard. Obviously, keyboard is having an ID. So from the table, give me element who is having an ID called as keyboard. I got this guy. Now on that, I say dot inner text is equal to sum. Now, what do you mean by this inner text? Whatever the information you give under this tag open and close, that is what we call it as inner text. Obviously, I need to take my sum value and I need to keep it over here itself. Yes, that is what I am doing at line number 22. Line number 22, understanding is very, very important, guys. Not just method. You need to understand internally what is happening. So what I'm doing? Document. From the existing complete DOM structure, find out an element who is having an ID called as result block. For that guy, you need to change the inner text. The inner text is this part inner text. You need to set the value as sum. Obviously, sum is the value what I have calculated. Yes. Now, once I save this guy, I come back to the page here and I reload this guy. Could I able to find out 189 or else? Let me remove this part. This guy, right? How do you comment in your HTML? It will be exclamatory mark slash, tag open, exclamatory mark, hyphen, and at the end, hyphen, tag close. Okay, the shortcut in your keyboard is control plus backslash, anything. If I say control plus backslash in your HTML, it will add the comment automatically. For example, if I say style tag, I say dot ABC, I say font size, say some 20 pixel. Now, if at all I need to comment here, control slash, it will add the CSS comment. If it is JavaScript, it will add the JavaScript comment. So control slash will automatically understand what type of comment you're doing there. Okay, fine. Now, my requirement is now when I save this guy, I come back to the page, I reload the page. Could we able to update the HTML content dynamically through JavaScript? Yes, it is. On load, I don't have 89 boss. You see, on load, I have dot dots or else. For example, if I comment out this code, come back and reload. On load, I have dot dot dot. But through JavaScript, I am finding that element and I am updating that guy with the value called as sum. Now, when I save it, come back here, reload the page. Dynamically through JavaScript, I am identifying one of the element in your HTML, updating the value, what I want to put it there. Are we clear, guys? Online students, any piece of questions up to this? So clear. Again, I'm repeating. Any line you feel question with your DHTML, let me know. I'm going to help in a different way. If you don't understand in one way, I'll find out a different way. But ask me the questions. Clear? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. Now. Okay. No. What you're saying is, for example, you define one of the function, say some sample. I say some let or else let where A or B1 is equal to say some 99. This is a local variable, right? Now from outside, if I say console.log, I say window.b1. Is that is what your question is? Here, instead of where, you would like to say window.b1 equal to 99. Anytime you are referring window, obviously that will become a global variable, right? Anything which is directly inside the window, that is a local variable. I can do this. You can say something called as window.b1, or I say where b1 and I say b1 is equal to say some 90, both are same. You declare a variable outside, you assign the value inside the function, that will become automatically a global value. Yes or no? The same thing happens. If you say window.b1 equal to 99, it is almost same like these two lines. Anything window dot, it's a global thing. Now you say, for example, if I remove this, I say where b1, is it accessible outside line number 25? No. This function, can I say window dot sample? Can I do this? Can I do this? Obviously. Why? So sample is a method which is global, but the data inside this not part. Okay. Yeah. Any questions on this line number 28, guys? Document.getElementById. If you remember, when I was talking about the HTML attributes, I was saying that ID is one of the attribute using which you could able to set some ID boss. But you know this at that time we were never using. Only in the CSS we are using like hash showing so, but we never used it. But now this is where the use is. For example, what if guys this guy is not having an ID? What is the way I'm going to do here? There is one of the predefined method, something called as get elements by tag name, which is called as spam. Now what I'm saying here, instead of this guy, instead of this, what I'm saying, document. Obviously, I'm going to find one of the element either by tag name or by class name or by ID within the DOM structure only. So within the DOM structure, dot find out an element who is having an ID called a span guy. Now you set the value to this guy. Okay. Now when I save this, I come back to the web page and I reload the page. Why it is not coming? Because when I say document.getElement by span, let us see what is the output we are getting. I say console.log document.span element. Now, when I come back here, I reload the page. I inspect this guy. I go to console. You see here, HTML collection is coming. Under that 0th position is the span element. Then what I need to do? I have to say this guy span of 0 dot inner text. Now, once I reload the page, 189 is coming. The problem what I have is, what if there is another style tag? We know in a, sorry, another span element. Okay, there is another span element. There is another span element. Now I reload the page. Instead of updating here, it is updating all here, because there is a chance like user might be adding n number of span elements, boss. So this is the reason. But now if I say, instead of this, if I take out this ID, is there is any chance people will be using the multiple elements having the ID here? No, that is the reason I can take this ID instead of this guy. I'll comment out, I will do this guy. Okay, now when I save it, every time it will be updating all here itself. Doesn't matter how many span elements you have, it is recommended to identify the tag DOM element using the ID of that element itself. Are we clear? Okay. Understood everyone? And not just only by tag name, guys. There is another method, something called as document dot get element by class names also. You can even say ABC. You find out the element who is having a class called as ABC. But again, there is a chance multiple element will be coming, because one CSS class can be used any number of time for the element. Yes, it is. So, but these are the different ways you can identify the element using the document dot methods. Now, the methods what we have seen is, we say document dot get element by ID. Okay, we say ABC is the ID. We say document dot get element by tag name, which is something called as some span tag, I can say. I can also say document dot get elements by class name, say something called as test. These are the different methods what I have been provided in your JavaScript. But now from your latest HTML5, there is a new method which is being introduced, which we call it as document dot query selector. I recommend don't use these individual methods. Instead, you can go with something called as document.query selector. You don't have n number of methods. You say, when I say document.query selector, if at all it has to be used with the ID. So this is get element by tag name by ID, right? That can be done something called as hash ABC. That's it. Which is equal to find out an element who is having an ID called as ABC. Now the second guy is a tag name. I simply say span. That's it. If you don't give any symbol, that is going to be the tag name. The third guy, instead of this, I can say dot test. Simple. Instead of writing 3 individual different methods, you can simply say dot query selector. And it's not just only the only simple class, only tag ID. You can give some patterns also. In future, anyway, I'll show you. You can say something called as dot ABC div some span. Find out a span element who is under the children called as div, which is under ABC. These type of patterns also can be added using your document.query selector, which I'll talk about them later. Okay, for now, simply we are seeing like, instead of going with individual methods here, we can go with query selector and just give the selector. You say hash, you give the symbol. If you give hash, it will look for a ID. You give dot, it will look for a class. You don't give anything, it will look for a tag name. Okay, now I can come back to my page. Instead of this guy, can I say document dot query selector? Can I do this, boss? Is line number 26 is fine? No. Why so? It is, you need to specify the symbol here, result block. Now I come back and reload the page. Same is working. Are we clear with line number 26 and line number 28 and line number 29? 29 is waste. Empty I have added. Any questions, guys? Online students? Okay, Rahul, you say that explain tag name part, why we are using of zero. Okay, he's saying that why you mentioned as span of array, because when I say get element by tag name, it will be giving me the array of elements which are having multiple, arrays of element who are having the same tag name. Now, when I say span, there could be multiple span elements. Yes or no? So this guy is not returning one element. He is returning n number of elements in the form of an array. That is the reason I found out like guy who is having in the 0th position, the first position that I am identifying. Hope I'm clear with the question, Rahul. Next, Roshan. Here is only one ID. What if there are multiple IDs? Then we should call document dot query select element by ID multiple times. Roshan, as I said, right? If you have multiple elements, and I have another element, something called as, say some paragraph tag, ID equal to something called as R block. Okay, here also you want to add the result. Obviously, you need to do that, right? You need to say get one by query selector. I say R block, then you need to say so and so. Anytime you want to identify one element, you for sure need to say document dot query selector, or you need to identify that element by using your ID. Am I clear, Roshan? Okay, Shloka, instead of in span, can we use some? No, this anything you add it. Now I say something like this, but that will not be visible, right? You see, that is gone. Why so? Another error. Document, who is document? It is document, right? Once I reload the page, see 2 times 189 got added. Why so? First time is result block inner text, second guy is R block. Or else I have only single paragraph tag, boss. Instead of this, I can even say paragraph dot inner tag. Both are same. Okay, first guy is referring the element using the ID, second guy is referring the element with the tag name, but the method name is same. Okay. So Shloka, are you clear with my explanation or with your question? Here, whatever you mention, that will be removed and it will be, because I'm saying inner text. What do you mean by inner text? Any text which is between the open and closed braces of the tag, we call it as a inner text there. Okay, or else we can use inner HTML also. When do we go with inner HTML? You see here. Instead of this, I say inner HTML. Save this, come back and reload this page. Both are same. Then what is the difference between inner HTML and inner text? For example, I say I want to show the sum within this bold tag. I say B plus I added something called as bold tag. Do you see that guy is coming in the form of a bold? Yes, boss. But the same guy, if I say inner text, save this. Do you see in the form of bold? No. That is the small difference between inner text and inner HTML. If you give a HTML, you use inner text. Even though you give HTML, I will treat it as a text content. But if you give a HTML content, you want to treat that HTML content as a HTML, then you need to go with inner HTML. Are we clear? Online students. What if we go with priority chain CSS like ID, class name, tag name? It's up to you, Nukraj. I mean, how the priority is coming into the picture here. Why do we go with CSS priority in this HTML? Here, the topic what we are discussing is from the existing elements within the page, how do we find out one element? It's up to you. You find out by ID, you find out by class, you find out by something. It's up to you, right? Why the priority will come here? Not needed, right? It is not happening automatically. We are writing the piece of code. I'm saying that find out an element using the ID. If you are sure that the ID is there, you will go with ID. If you are sure that there is one of the class name, it is there. Only that guy is using, no one else is using. You go with class name. It's up to you. No chain is going to come here. Any more questions? Roshan, can we put all the code in one container and give him an ID and call this ID wherever it will work? Can we put all the code? What do you mean by all the code, Roshan? I mean, I'm not clear with your question. Can we put all the code in the sense already the HTML is under body container, right? Can you elaborate your question, please? Okay. Any more questions? Can I go forward? Everyone? Okay. So be very much clear with these 2 points, guys. Line number 28. How do you find out an element? How you're setting the inner text? And how do you putting this inner HTML? So you should able to be so clear on this. You should be very much clear on this. Okay. Fine. Sir, unmute everyone by starting of the class so we can stop you there if we have any doubt. In that case, Rahul, I need to log in from my phone. I'll do that. Just give me a minute. In that case, 1 second, guys. Yeah, sorry guys. So what I'm saying is, oh, unmute yourself. I logged in for something and I was doing something. So I'm giving you the unmute option here. Yeah, go ahead guys if you have any questions. No one is having questions? Then why you guys asked me to log in from this? Just for checking my network connection. Okay, fine. So, yeah, are we clear with these two statements? Inner HTML, inner text, how do you find an element and all? Everyone? Super clear, fine. Now, the another part what I have to do is, till now, when I'm going to read the data, how we are reading the data? Through the prompt method. But do we have we ever seen any of the web page which is throwing a prompt method and it is asking that how do we read this data? No, right? Sorry guys, 1 second. Okay, so let us create an example. What I want to do is, let me create the same example. I'll paste this, I'll save it as okay. Now what I want to do is, whatever this A1 and A2 I have, let me remove all of this for now. Okay, till now I was hard coding this data and I'm showing the data. Now what we achieved is, instead of showing the data in the console, we could able to show it on the page. That is, we are so clear. Now what I want to do is, I want to read this data dynamically. Till now what we are doing, I say prompt method, I say prompt method, I say enter value for A1, and I say prompt method, enter value for A2. In the same way, parsing to be done, I say A1 equal to parse int of A1. I say A2 is equal to parse int of A2. Any questions? Now, I would like to say this result block is there. I want to show the result within this block itself. Okay, so what I can say, how do I show the value here? Document dot query selector hash id dot inner text is equal to sum. Is everyone clear up to this? I'm reading the dynamic data from the user and I'm showing the data back to the user here. Now, when I save this guy, come back over here, reload the page. This is not the one. I go to this guy. You see, it is asking me the first value. I'm giving 55. Asking me the second value. I'm giving so-and-so. And I see the result over here. Okay, how simple it is. I mean, you're showing the data back to the user within the page itself. But the question what I have is, one more thing is, I don't want to go with this scattered data. I'll create a function where to operation is going to be one of the function like this. This is arrow function. Okay, save this guy. Now I invoke this guy here. I say do operation like this. Now once I click on this, I reload the page, asking me the value, and I say NAN. Why NAN? The problem is window.a1 I'm using. Do we have a global variable called as a1 here? No, I cannot make use of window dot. I have to use a1 because a1 is a local variable. Got it, everyone? Now once I reload the page, so-and-so and so-and-so, I see that this guy is so-and-so. But my question is, I don't want to read the data using the prompt method, boss. We have already finished the topic in our HTML, using which we could able to read the data. In your HTML, we have some input elements, input type text, input type so-and-so, we have seen, using which we can read the data from the user. So why don't I use the input elements to read the data instead of showing these prompt methods? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, I create a simple look and feel. Li, I say enter first value, input type equal to text, ID equal to fval, first value. In the same way, I say li, enter second value, I say sval. Okay. Now I say li input type equal to button. It's been so long time that we haven't touched the HTML. So you need to recollect them. You say value equal to get sum. Come back. I'm not going to invoke this method right now. Now I reload this page. This is how I'm having. Let me add some better look and feel here. I'll say style UL tag width is going to be say some 500 pixel. Now I reload this page. This is how I created a simple block where user will be providing the value like this. Now he click on get some. Now I need to see the result of this. That is what my requirement. No prompt messages. Okay. I even take this result guy also into one li. This guy. Are we clear? Okay, now I save this, come back and reload. This is what I wanted. Now my first challenging part, what I have is, till now from JavaScript, we could able to read the data from your input elements or HTML elements. But the first challenging thing what we have is, once I give the data here, once I click on get some, now the JavaScript function need to get invoked. Earlier, this do operation, when it is getting invoked, automatically on load of the page, it is getting invoked there. Isn't it? On load of the page, we are simply calling it. Now, what I'm saying is, instead of calling this manually, I need to invoke this guy when there is a click operation happening on this button. So in order to understand this guy, we need to understand a topic, something called as events. Now, what do you mean by an event? An event is any action what you perform within the web page, we call it as an event. Any action what we perform within the web page, we call it as an event. In the sense, I click on this guy, it is an event. I select this guy, which is an event. I double click on this, it is an event. I focus on this, it is an event. I click on it, I key press on it, I key down on it, mouse up, mouse blur, even any action what we perform within the web page, we call it as an event. Now, in your JavaScript or in your HTML, there are predefined event attributes. Event attributes. So what do you mean by this event attributes? There are some predefined set of attributes like ID we have seen, name we have seen, like title we have seen, alt we have seen, class we have seen, style we have seen. Those all are predefined attributes. But these are special event attributes using which there is something called as on click. There is something called as on focus. There is something called as on change. There is something called as on blur. Like this, on key up, on key down, on focus, on change, on blur, on double click. Every other event, we have a predefined attribute. What is the use of this guy? Using which we could able to link the HTML with your JavaScript. So here what I can do is, I can simply say on click is equal to whatever we were calling earlier manually, I call this guy over here. So what do you mean by this guy? There is a HTML input element which is type of button, value is so and so. What I'm saying to this guy, whenever there is a click event going to happen on this input element, you automatically try to invoke a method called as do operation. Okay, let us say, or else, for example, instead of do operation, I say sample is the method what I'm trying. When I save this guy, when I reload this, when I inspect this, you see here, go to console. When I'm clicking on get sum, it is simply saying that there is no method called as sample. Okay. Or if at all, I have the method called as sample, I say where sample is equal to a method, I say alert testing. Now, when I save this and reload the page, do you see the alert testing? No. When I click on alert testing, is it is happening? Implies the thing what we achieved is there is a piece of JavaScript code that can be invoked only when the piece of job is going to happen on your web page. So when you see on load of the page, nothing is happening. We are not invoking the methods on load of the page, but based on the user action, user performs some action. Right now he's clicking on it, I could able to perform. I say on mouse over, then I'll change this attribute. I say on mouse over. See this guy, this is the event what I added. Now if you come back and reload the page, see, I'm taking my cursor simply, I'm not clicking on it. When I am hovering on it, automatically that is getting fired. So that will be taken care by your HTML. Anytime that event happens, I will invoke the method what you have given to me. Are we clear? Okay, so this is how it is going to work, guys. Once I reload the page, once I mouse over on this or click on it, the event is getting fired and we could able to invoke this. Anyway, I will take a separate class only on events, guys. Okay, what do you mean by event? What do you mean by dynamic event handling? What do you mean by event object, validating the data? A lot of things are there. I'll take it out. For now, you can understand that event means any action gets performed on the web page, we call it as an event. Okay, if you want to perform a corresponding JavaScript job when the event happens, you can simply say on click, on mouse over, on focus, on change. You can just simply specify the event attribute following with the JavaScript method which need to be invoked. As simple as it is. Are we clear, everyone? Okay, so now if you come back and reload the page, once I click on this guy, I should be able to invoke the testing guy. Super fine. Now instead of sample, can I invoke this do operation, boss? Yes or no? Yes, right? Now I'll remove the sample code. Do operation is not getting invoked on load. Now if I come back and reload the page, once I say get sum, now it is invoking the do operation, reading the data, and it is showing the data. But the problem is, boss, I don't want to use again the prompt method. Here what I need to do, once the user clicks on this, I don't want to say prompt method. Instead, I need to go to the first text box. There I need to read the data. Isn't it? Now I'm going to comment out this guy. I say where A1 is equal to. How do you identify this guy? Again, can I say I already have an ID? Can I say document dot query selector hash so and so? From the existing DOM structure, you need to find out an element who is having an ID called as f value. From there, do I need to get the value whatever user has given? Yes. You know how do we get that guy? Dot value is the predefined property which will automatically tell you what is the value of A1 attribute. In the same way, obviously after reading it, I need to do the parseInt. I can simply say this is S value. Done, boss. Now when I save it, come back here, reload the page. I say 55, I say some 88. Once I click on get sum, I'm getting the result like this. As simple as it is. So now no prompt methods, no console methods. Reading the data from the page itself, showing the data back to the page itself. That is what we need to achieve, guys. On the top, again, JSON object and all, that will be a different structure. Now I can comment out this part. For example, boss, instead of this scattered variable, I would like to go with the JSON object. You go, boss. That is nothing to do with your JavaScript. You know what I will do? I'll simply say where data is equal to a JSON object. Okay. I say data dot A1 equal to so and so. Data dot A1. Data dot A1. This guy will be data dot A2. Data dot A2. This guy will be data dot A2. Now I simply say data.a1, data.a2, and this guy will be data.sum. Now this guy will be data.sum. This processing data we already done. Only simple thing what we are seeing is how do we read the data dynamically from the first element, from the second element, and how do we show the result back to the user. Save this, come back and reload the page. I say some 55, 9. I click on get some. This is what it is happening. So from now, we are not going to write any piece of code where we are going to see the data in the console. No. From now, we are not going to read the data or write the piece of code which is reading the data from the user through the prompt method or alerts. It should be always from the input elements. Okay, we know already all the input elements, checkboxes, radio buttons, etc. things and all. So we need to create that, and that has to be done. Now the assignment what I have is, can you create a web page for generating a progress card for the student? Okay, so what is the progress card? You need to create a form. First of all, you need to take the username, student name, student age, class. Now you need to read the subject marks, like 5 subject marks, everything dynamically. Now, once I click on generate progress card, you need to show a page something called as this is the data what I have. Okay, try for that. I know that there are some challengings. Otherwise, tomorrow I'm going to talk about this. Okay, so let's pause it for today. We'll meet again back on tomorrow. Have a good day. Have a good day.